Hello and welcome to another episode of This Week in Construction with me, Steve Kurzek, the founder of Construction Sport, the organisation providing sporting opportunities to support the construction workforce. This week in construction, what have we seen? Just going through some of the news before we go on to some of our stuff, because we've got a lot coming up. We'll save our stuff for the end. Construction Wave are reporting this week that suppliers have been alerted, alert, to £850 million worth of road construction framework. All good news, opportunities to work in the sector, booming. Liverpool City Council is seeking interest from contractors for its Future Highways Planned Works framework, with procurement scheduled to commence in July. The framework will be divided into two lots with project values of up to £1.5 million or more, to include general civil engineering works and new highways works as follows. General civil engineering works, highways junction improvements, traffic signal installation improvements, drainage works, structural improvements and remedial works, major services and surface treatment works, public transport and infrastructure provision, active trivial schemes, public realm, highway structures improvements, highway junction realignments and reconfiguration works. Liverpool City Council currently intends to appoint up to 4 suppliers onto each lot. Good news for the people up north. We like to hear that. HS2 news over there seems to be always dooming the north at the moment with cutting stuff down. But railways aside, the highways guys are picking up the pieces, are going to give great job opportunities and business opportunities to the people in the Liverpool area and surrounding places, I'd imagine, because like road works, I know from experience, the workforce travel across the country to go to work in the highway. So we've worked a lot around the London area, and there's always gangs of lads from each corner of the United Kingdom and Ireland. So that is always good. Construction news have reported HS2 JV and Sizewell C make union agreements. 2 mega projects have signed agreements with trade unions after a 2-year campaign. The Unite Union has secured access to HS2's Old Oak Common Railway Station site, which is run by Balfour Beatty Vintry Sistra joint JV, known as BBVS JV. Meanwhile, Sizewell yet to be announced. I've never been one with unions. Have you, the viewer? Have you ever been part of a union? It came up in an important conversation I had this week, actually, about unions. As I said before, I've got a good friend of mine, best mate of mine, lives in Canada, and the Canadian kind of way is you don't work really for a recruitment company. You kind of work through the union, and you get looked after very well with everything work-related, but then also health-related as well, private healthcare, even opticians' appointments, physio, stuff like that. You are literally MOT'd and look serviced by the union that then employs you as well. So it's interesting setup. But the UK, I think, just before my generation, maybe, or around when I first started getting it, I think there was a bit of a problem with blacklisting of certain things within the unions and main contracting. I've not really got into it too much. I've worked with 2 or 3 people related to unions in the past, but never knew too much. But if you know a little bit about the unions, how they work, and is it a promising thing for the future? Are these people getting involved? Should they be encouraged? Should we get behind it? Are they more of a burden to the industry? I don't really know. So please educate me. Help me. Educate me. Pontins. If you're going on holiday to Pontins in the Norfolk, Suffolk area over the next few years, you will be smothered by construction workers, because Pontins Holiday Park is going to be housing 500 construction workers that will be working on the nuclear power station Sizewell C, reported in the Construction Inquirer. Plans have been agreed between Sizewell C and Pontins Pakefield near Lowestoft, Suffolk, as preparations continue to start the £20 billion project. A company spokesperson told the BBC at peak construction, Sizewell C will require a workforce of 7,900 people. Just round it up and make it 8,000. Come on, help another 100 people out, with at least a third coming from local areas. Those working, living away from home can expect to see accommodation campus and Sizewell C to house 2,400 workers, Pontins and the remainder using existing local accommodation, in order to deliver local economic benefits. Workers living at Pontins are due to be transported to the power plant by bus, a 21-mile journey lasting 35 minutes. The rental agreement between Sizewell C and Pontins is expected to take effect in January, with construction of the power plant set to last almost a decade. Wow, there we go. Does that mean I take it shut to the public and would just become a accommodation area? Will they still have ABBA tribute nights? Will they still have Elvis tribute nights? Will they still have foam parties? Will they still be given the workforce every benefit of a holiday to Pontins? Please, please tell us they are going to carry on because we need it for the construction workforce welfare. They should definitely keep all the entertainment going. Arcades, go-karts, you name it. I went there for a 5-side football tournament when I was 7 years old and come home with nothing but a little bit of rabies, I think. Keep it going. Pontins, don't let us down. Do not let us down. Plans lodged for tallest skyscraper outside London. This will be one for the good old guys at B1M. Fred Mills loves a tall skyscraper at the moment over in Malaysia, I think. But now he can see that developer Sizewell has lodged plans for a dominating residential skyscraper in central Manchester. That would be the tallest outside of London. More infrastructure up north. Is it class infrastructure? No, it's not. More structures going on up north. The next phase of its viaduct scheme of Great Bridgewater Street will now see construction of 2 residential towers, 76 and 23 stories, containing a total of 915 apartments. I was just thinking that would it go to offices, taking the post-COVID world is a little bit different. But 915 apartments. Architect Simpson Hoare, supported by M&E consultant Ridge and structural engineer Renaissance, have designed the scheme. 23-storey building will contain 130 affordable homes and be designed with parallelogram-shaped footprint to fit closely to edge of the viaduct structure. Although not confirmed, it's understood Domis, Sowboy's in-house contractor, will deliver phase 2. That's cool, isn't it? It's all going on up north. Workers rescued from collapsed 4-metre deep trench. Lots of good news just been reported, but it takes a little dive here. There wasn't a fatality, but 5 firefighters have battled for 6 hours to rescue a man trapped in a collapsed trench at a construction site in South London. The trench, approximately 12 metres long and 4 metres deep, collapsed and trapped a man up to his waist in sand and clay in the site in Cholton. Fire rescue units formed part of the brigade's response, deploying specialist-trained urban search and rescue squads. Alongside London Ambulance Service, crews methodically excavated sand and clay from the trench to increase access while they shored up and stabilised the trench to prevent any further collapse. Once the man was released from the trench, he was taken to hospital by paramedics. The HS2 is now investigating the site near Blackwall Tunnel, which has planned permission for a 5-storey block of flats. In this day and age, with everything that goes with plans and planning permission and stuff, some people I understand, some people outside of the construction sector might not know what temporary works is. But temporary works engineering is very, very interesting. It allows people to get into trenches and be safe. So it puts a temporary structure in place in the ground or above ground for people to access and carry out their day jobs. When it's not adhered to, trenches collapsed, things fall down, people get hurt, people get killed. Trauma is taken on by many people. But why is someone going down a trench like that? Well, I tell you why. Because companies have cut corners. And I know this because I've worked with one before who tried to get me in a trench. There are many companies out there sticking men into dangerous situations. Why? Because the pressure of the job is too much, and the pressure on every single element of the construction sector is too much. People are cutting corners. Guys and girls on the ground are taking risks they should not take. They're putting their lives at line on behalf of their boss's salary, on behalf of the boss's bonuses, on behalf of company expectations. It's wrong. Don't get in trenches if you're not confident or sure. If you don't know if a trench is safe or not, you're too young or too inexperienced to realise if it's safe, don't get in. Just walk away from the job and just go. But it's a case of get in the trench or you lose your job. I know what it is. I've been there before. Get the job done. Otherwise, your job's not here tomorrow. Too much pressure. That is killing people. Luckily, this person has cut out, walked away, and lives to tell the story. But I would only imagine that there will be some sleepless nights in the coming months for that person who would have been fearing his death at that time. Hopefully, we would love to know if that company have put the stuff, ways and means in place for that guy to be well aware of the impact of post-traumatic stress, and if he's aware, and if he does suffer with anything, he has the right people in place to support him. Adam Lopez, award-winning telehandler. You know, he's a proud construction man when he's known as the award-winning telehandler on his LinkedIn status. What a legend. He got in touch the other day and we gave him a little push. He has taken on a world record attempt and smashed it. The 37-year-old has broken the record for... He is the fastest man on the planet to run a mile in a swimming pool, beating the old record by 4.5 minutes and clocking a time of 2024. What a legend. He's got it. Got a good bit of publicity on ITV and BBC News, Look East. Fair play to him. I wonder where this come about, doing this one. I need to catch up with him. We're going to go down and visit him one day. We're going to go down there and see him on site and just do a little interview and get a little bit of information from the man, because he got in touch with us to let us know what he's doing, and we need to give him as much PR and praise for him, because he has stood up in the swimming pool representing not just himself but the construction sector, and he has set a new world record. That is a proud man, and we love it. Well done, Adam. Legend. Tractor Fever. Right, Tractor Fever. If you don't know about Tractor Fever, it is the biggest tractor driving event in the UK and Ireland 2024. 26 high-class athletic tractor driving, haulage and construction working businesses have combined to drive from London, Cluddering in Hendon, to Northwest Ireland, Donegal, and they will be going about 6 days on their tractors. They done it a couple of years ago to County Mayo, I believe, and now they're going again, but this time it's different. This time 50% of what they're raising money for is us at Construction Sport, and we are hugely, hugely appreciative of that. To us, it is life-changing. Really, to us behind the scenes here, we've been pushing for so long to really push on with what we do and scrape by to literally just allow us to do what we do. But people like these guys who have stepped forward to support us and to help us help families in the construction world that have been affected by suicide is huge. It's a little push on our end this year and what more we can do. And we've recognised it that we need to do more to speak and talk and support the families affected by suicide in construction. And these guys are doing it. Liam O'Malley, that's heading it up, Colin Miller, Michael O'Donnell, Tom Hyland, Siobhan Heverin, Kevin Lyons, Ben Mitchell, Kieran O'Doherty, Bill Quigley, William Coyle, Shane Leonard, Michael Kilroy, Paul O'Donnell, Martin Ruddy, Paddy McVie, Daniel Maloney, Liam Maloney, Mick Heverin, Steve Porter, Tom Burke, Richie Doherty, Connor Curran, Aidan O'Grady, Tom Needham, and Sean Leonard. And those companies that those guys represent are Hunter Plant Hire, MC International Haulage, Bear Plant, Heverin Haulage, KTL Engineering, BP Mitchell Haulage, JOD Group, GCL, Coyle Equipment Services, Leonard Steelworks, O'Malley Haulage, Podtrack, MRE Utilities Limited, PMV Commercials Limited, Maloney's Bars, Heverin Haulage, and S. Leonard Plant Hire and Haulage Limited. Thank you. We're going to be involved. We're going to be on board. It's going to be incredible, actually, 6 days of vintage tractor driving. We have been teamed up as well with our good friends at UK Construction. We can let them know that one of their tractors will be coming into the exhibition along with our van that we'll be taking out in the next week, and we'll be putting them on. If you can support that rally, we're hugely, hugely appreciative. It's going to be quite incredible, really, what those guys are doing over the 6 days. They've raised a significant amount of funds already. They're also supporting Western Care Association in Ireland as well as else. So 100% appreciative of that. It's a quite incredible feat. It's gonna be something else, actually. You think walking's tough for 2 or 3 days. I've heard that sitting on a vintage tractor for 6 days, driving at 16 miles an hour for 7-8 hours, whatever the hourage they do, is tough on the old back door, but it's also tough on the amount of bloody diesel that these guys consume in the head, I think, just from the fumes around these things. But health and safety at all costs. Don't worry about that. Can't wait to be part of it a little bit more in the coming weeks. Come the end of May, we'll really start pushing it as well. If you can like, support, donate to it, please do. CSCS, my CSCS experience this month. I passed with flying colours my CSCS test. I got a smashing 48 out of 50. I got 2 wrong, and I don't know what they were because I wasn't allowed to be told what I don't know, according to the form after. But I applied for my card. I went onto the CSCS website. I applied for the card that I was told was the right one for me. Now, I'm a construction worker of some 17 years with nothing in terms of written kind of academic qualifications. I have an SMSTS, and my temporary works ticket, I think, is expired. I have a first aid, this and that. However, my CSCS card does not take into account the SMSTS I have. It also doesn't take into account the Construction Night Gold that we have as a business that I'm a director of. And it also advised me to go to a provisional card. So I've had them before, but the website showed me when I went through what I need and what I work out to be the provisional. So I've gone through that process. I've ordered it, and it got rejected. I ordered it again, rejected again. I've been rejected a CSCS card. So I got in touch with CSCS yesterday and said, I've been rejected. What's happened? They said, yes, Mr. Kerslake, you've been rejected twice. And this is because you've had a provisional card before. I said, yes, I have. I had one of 2021. I said, and it did expire. And that expired because I come away from the sector and went and worked elsewhere within 2 or 3 months. So I didn't carry on with that card. I also had this card in 2010. So that same one. So I've had that same card twice. However, now, according to the email that went in my jump box, what the person from Mr. CSCS told me yesterday was, it's been rejected because you've had a provisional card before. Okay, Mr. CSCS. So what do I do now? Well, Mr. Stephen Kerslake, you're going to get refunded your money from the two I've been rejected from. Thank you very much. And I now have to do the next card that me, Steve Kerslake, the construction site manager / general foreman / business owner / construction charity owner, I have to apply for my construction labourer's card for, wait for it please, drum roll, another £99 plus VAT. So there we go, another little bit of money in the pocket of Mr. CS, because this labourer's card that I've got to pay £99 plus VAT will obviously give me more information on health and safety within the sector than my SMSTS does, maybe. The 3 SMSTSs I've had where I've kept that refreshed and renewed, it's going to keep me in line and make sure I know what I'm doing. So in a couple of weeks' time, once I go through this process of spending more money on a card that currently seems completely pointless, I'm going to have the experience to be on site known as a labourer. And there's nothing against that whatsoever, labourers. I just feel like I might have come above that ranking just over the years. I've kind of pushed on. But yeah, so that is what I've got to do now for myself to get onto a site. I'm going for my CSCS labourer's card. I think it's an online thing that I just go to one of these thousands of companies that have been pulled in as a third party, give them my £120. Then I sit on a laptop for an hour or two and they take that £120 and they convert that £120 into a little plastic card that comes to me. So 120 quid well spent. I'll let you make the call on that one. CSCS, I don't get it. I've been speaking to multiple people though. Every time we talk about CSCS, the influx of information we're getting, of which is 99.999999%, if not 100% negative. I think this industry is really starting to dislike CSCS. And that is being pulled in with CITB as well. I really think there is a really, really bad situation here that it needs to be addressed, because what we're seeing, our media, everything on our social media that we do rockets when we mention CSCS, and the negative influx of information about people's experience is terrible. How can this industry sit back and go, we've got issues with construction and the people within it and a labour problem, and not recognise that the first hurdle is where they're failing? It's an absolute shambles. I spoke about it for a long time. And I say we've spoken about over the last 6 months, but I'm hearing it from every single person and their experience. It doesn't make sense. And this isn't even to bring into account what's going to happen at this end of the year. Big tech companies, big tier 1 contractors wake up and smell the coffee and realise that things need to change quick and make things easier. And then once I've got my card, I can stop being noisy about it, really. But there we go. The Construction Sport Rally is taking place in just a few days' time. That didn't make sense. We're driving from London, or Essex to Leeds. We're not going to London. We're going from Essex up to Leeds, going from Leeds to Newcastle, Newcastle to Edinburgh, Edinburgh to John O'Groats, John O'Groats to Fort William, Fort William to Liverpool, Liverpool to London Excel, where we will then be taking the van, what was being sign-written at the moment with regards to UK Construction Week, into the exhibition on a stand to show them what it's all about and show what we've been doing to raise money for families affected by suicide within the construction sector. We've noticed over past days, and since last Friday when we put it out, we've had 2 or 3 families now step forward to say they want us to help. They want to help us push the name out of what we're doing and the awareness side of it. People need to start realising that these aren't just numbers. We've been waiting since 2021 or 22 for more statistics on what it's looking like. We're not even getting them anymore. That's been brushed under the carpet too. 507 was the number what everyone keeps on spouting. But what that is taken into account is that was 507 in 2021. How many was it in 2022? How many was it in 2023? We're still not yet to be told. But we can only imagine from the kind of times we're in now, tough times, pressures of everything in the world, it's putting more and more on us that these figures may or may not be a little bit more. But behind these figures are families, behind these figures are mothers, behind these figures are fathers, behind these figures are brothers and sisters, wives and children. And we need to do what we can do to get their story out. I am confident over the last 6-7 years of trying to look into this and realising that these stories of the victims and the victims' families aren't getting put out there. If these people, and I get the stigma around it and it's tough, but if we can get this industry realising just what happens when this terrible, terrible thing happens to these families, I think people will really wake up to it and go, no more, because it's ridiculous. I've had a very, very good meeting. There'll be more to come in a few weeks. I had a good conversation with a leading party in the construction sector, but then also leading parties within the world of workplace suicide reporting campaigning as well this week. What was really, really interesting. Very, very clued up people in that subject. It's got to be done. Investigations don't take place when it comes to people taking their own lives on a building site or off a building site. In a workplace, it just doesn't happen. It gets passed over to a coroner. This is the words of the health and safety executive. It gets passed to a coroner, and the coroner does not have the means to investigate this. It doesn't fall in the coroner's eyes as their responsibility. However, the health and safety executive saying it does, and it's wrong. It means that these things aren't getting investigated and change is not happening. There's a lot of people in this construction sector I know personally who have spoken to me personally who fear that happening because they are scared of it exposing certain situations. They're scared of it showing their company in a dark light. But what they don't actually think about is the families that they could prevent from going through this. So those people need to check themselves and realise that things need to happen. These things need to be looked in. People in France were suffering with this. Employers in France were suffering with this. And employers in France wasn't dealing with this. So the equivalent of the tribunal services over in France looked into it, and people were put in prison for negligence of their work staff. So people need to know, and law, regulations, however you want to call it, needs to be put in place to make sure companies support their staff in any way, shape or form with regards to their mental health and well-being. People are growing up these days without fathers or mothers or whatever because they've taken their own life due to the pressure of this industry. We chase behind the scenes more than just any other company out there just to be paid. We're asked to do jobs on behalf of companies, but they're going to run out of time. When what is time really? Pressure on this industry comes at every single angle, and it's killing so many people. And the powers that be in the sector do not give a monkeys when it comes to people killing themselves. I cannot be proven different from that point at the moment, and I've seen it over the years as the numbers keep on climbing, that the people in this industry need to wake up and realise that people are growing up without loved ones because their industry, the construction industry, is killing people, and it's literally brushed under the carpet. I will talk to anyone in this sector about it, and I'd love to sit down with anyone who thinks they've got the power to change it because it needs to happen. We are just going to bang the drum and call out the people that we think are responsible and guilty of it all, and we understand the Leadership Council play a big part in this sector, and we've actually been in touch with a few people on that side over the last week, and I thank you those guys for helping, but we need to push on more, and we need to put pressure on the HSE. And that comes from a government thing as well. So maybe it's time for me to take a stand and become Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Not at the moment. And on that note, I'm not going to pull on too much longer because this has been a long one. Plenty to go on. But we're going on the road next week. Then we've got UK Construction Week. Then we're back. And then we've got the tractor trek across London to Donegal. It's all going on. It's going to be a busy May. May will come and go beyond our wildest dreams. Thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend. Keep safe. Keep out of trouble. Enjoy the sunshine when it gets here. Take care.